welcome again. We have started statistics, and the first question that we are going to look at this morning is January 2017. So I will read while you all follow. The table below shows the number of bananas to the nearest ton produced annually on a farm over a period of 6 years. So we have 6 years starting from 2010 all the way up to 2015, and we have the production of bananas in tons, with the highest production being in the year 2011 and the lowest production being in the year 2013, right? On a graph paper provided on page 21, draw a bar chart to represent the data given in the table using a scale of 1 centimeter to represent 1 year on the x-axis and 1 centimeter to represent 25 tons on the y-axis. So get your pencil and your ruler ready, and we're going to the graph page. Those of you who do not have graph paper, I suggest you just use your ruler and your pencil. So what you are going to do, you are going to draw the Cartesian plane for me. So let's get started. So we're going to draw one line vertically and one line horizontally. For a graph, let's see, the graph is worth 4 marks. So what they are looking for you to use the scale properly. They are looking for correct use of the axes, and they are looking to see that you draw the bars in a proper way. So if we go back to the scale, they told us that 1 cm represents 1 year. And what I want you all to write in your book, that a bar chart, right? The bars are equally spaced. So you're writing this in your maths book, right? They are equally spaced. They are of the same width, and they are not joined together. The bars are not joined together. All right? So let me know when you all are finished writing that little note there. All right, are you all finished writing?
Yes.
Is there anybody in the class still writing?
No, miss.
All right, so get your ruler. Get your ruler ready. Let me see. Are we going to plot the bar graph? Let me see. Now, if you take a ruler and you measure the width of your index finger, you will find that it is 1 centimeter. So on the graph book, for those of you who have a graph book in front of you, the width of your index finger is 1 cm. If you don't have a ruler, you could use your finger, right? So they told us 1 centimeter represents 1 year. How many years do I have in my question? How many years am I going to represent?
6 years.
6 years. So how many bars do you expect that I have in my bar graph?
6 bars.
6. Which axis represents years? The X or the Y?
Axis.
X. So we're going to label the axis X, and we're going to label here Y. We are going to label here as years, and the first year we are going to start with is 2010. We are going to skip 1 cm on the x-axis because I told you for a bar graph, there must be a space in between the bars. If the bars are joined together, it represents a histogram, right? So we are going to skip a bar, And we are going to label our drawing. So go ahead and label the x-axis. And to the top right-hand corner, because we're not leaving anything to chance, the bar graph is worth 4 marks. So we are going to write our scale to the top right-hand corner. So the scale on the x-axis, 1 cm represents 1 year. So go ahead and label the graph. We're doing it step by step so you all will understand exactly what is asked of you. Does everyone have that? Or are you
Yeah,
still
miss.
drawing? All right.
Yeah, miss, finish.
All right. So
Yeah,
let's go back to the question. 1 cm represents 25 tons on the y-axis. So we're going to write that. Scale on the y-axis, 1 cm is equal to 25 tons. So we are counting in 25s. Now, what is the largest production of tons and what is the smallest production of tons from my question? Can anyone tell me what is the largest production of tons?
270.
25,
And smallest being 40.
40. Everybody could see that, right?
Yes,
Yes, miss.
All right. So we have 275 and we have 40. Remember, we are counting in 25s. So we are going all the way up to 275. That is our tallest bar. So we're going back here. So we are starting to count 25. Now, before we go further, let me just, now, let's look at one block here. If this represents 25, how much does one small block represent? If this is 0 and here represents 25, how many divisions do I have in each block?
5.
5. So how much would one small block represent?
5.
25 divided by 5, which is 5. So we counted in 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25. All right? So let's go. Let me draw back my axis here. Right. So we counted in 25s. So we have 25, 50, 75, 100, 125, 150, 175, 200, 225, 250, 275. We could go up to 300. So label the axes X and Y, and we will continue. Now we have to label the y-axis. We will call this the number of bananas. And this is in tons. All right, so label the X and label the Y and weigh there. All right, does everyone have that so far?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, miss.
So we want to point out a couple of things before we start plotting the graph. The question is worth 4 marks. You're not going to get 4 marks for drawing the bars on the graph. You are getting 4 marks, and here's how the marks are divided. You are getting 1 mark for labeling the X and Y axes, right? For the X and Y axis, you are getting 1 mark. For using the correct scale, you are getting 1 mark. And you will get 2 marks for, you will get 1 mark for the scale, and I believe you will get 1 mark for drawing the bars. So that is how the 4 marks are distributed. So when you're drawing a bar graph, or you're drawing any kind of graph, we want to make sure that we get the most number of marks, right? We want to get the maximum number of marks. You are not to draw a graph and not label the axes. This examiner that is marking your paper want to know that you know on the x-axis, you have to put years. And on the y-axis, you have to put the production of bananas in tons. They also want to know that you could use the scale properly. For example, 1 cm represents 25,000. How do you represent that? And that is illustrated on the diagram here. They also want to know that you know a bar graph is different from a histogram in the sense that in a bar graph, the bars are not joined together, but they are equally spaced and they are of the same width. So we are going, the first set of values we have 210, and the height of that bar is 150. So we are going to find $150. So 150 is this point here, and we are going to draw the bar. So that is my first bar, and I will shade it. So go ahead and draw the first bar. All the bars you can label except for 210 and 40. Those bars you actually have to count. So we have 2010 is 275. So the height of this bar is 275, and draw it accurately, please. The width of the bar is supposed to be 1 centimeter wide. If you don't have a graph book, that's fine. You can use your ruler and your pencil. So we have 2010, 2011, 2012 goes all the way up to 100. So draw the 3 bars and then wait, we will do 2013 together. So draw those 3 bars because that's supposed to be simple, and then we will do 2013. All right, does everyone have that so far?
Yes.
So we want to look at 2013 has a value of 40. But you remember each small block represents 5. So if here represents 25, then we have 30 to the 5, 40. So here we will represent 40. So let me repeat that. Each small block, so let's look here. Here is 0. Here we have 0. And here we have 25. So every small block, and this is what I mean by the small block, represents 5. So we have 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25. But I don't want 25, I am going all the way up to 40. So I have 5 again, which is 30, 5 again, which is 35, and 5 again, which is 40. So the height of this bar here would represent 40. Do you all see that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
miss.
miss.
So we counted in intervals of 5, and I want you all to be able to use the scale correctly. So if you notice, after the first big block, it is 3 smaller blocks upwards. That will give us a value of 40 production in tons. All right, so let's go ahead and draw it. All right, then we go to 2014. 2014 has a value of 125. So we find 125 on the y-axis and we draw that bar using that height. Then we have 2015, which is a value of 210. So if here represents 200, then 2 small bars, small blocks afterwards will represent 210, because each small block represents 5. Now you have to ensure that the bars are equally spaced and they are of the same width. And here you will get your 4 marks. All right. So finish off the bar graph and then we will go to the questions. So just like when you were doing your SBA and you plotted a graph which was a visual representation of the data that you would have presented, there are certain things that you can say about the data. For example, just by looking at the data here, I could say which year had the largest production, because that would be the tallest bar, and which year had the lowest production, that will be represented by the shortest bar. So we could take the information that we have in the table and do our visual representation in the bar graph. All right, so finish up the bar graph and then we'll go to answer the questions. Now, at any point in time, if there is anything that you all don't understand, you need to stop me and let me know. Because when we complete a topic, we're not going to go back. Remember, we are preparing ourselves for the 23rd of June, right? So we are trying our best to have a great understanding of the topics and finish all the past papers at the same time. Is everybody finished? Yes, no, is there anyone still writing?
Yeah, Miss, we finished.
All right,
Agreed.
so let's go to the questions now. Determine the range of the number of bananas between 2010 and 2015. So take out your mathematics book and write down this formula for me. The formula for range . Can anyone tell me what is the formula for range?
I believe is
The highest value, I take away the lowest value.
Yeah.
Very good. The highest value minus the lowest value. So somewhere in some part of your brain, You put that formula and remember it, right? So work it out for me. And don't shout out the answer. I will ask you what is the answer. Give everybody a chance to work it out. The highest production of bananas minus the lowest production of bananas. And write the answer in your mathematics book. All right, Malik, what is the highest value?
The highest value would be 275.
And what is the lowest value?
40
And what is the difference between those two numbers?
would be 235.
235. 235 tons.
Sorry, 235 tons.
Right? So you need to put the units because it is not apples or bananas or cherries, right? So the production is in tons. So the answer is not 235, it is 235 tons, right? Any questions so far?
No, miss.
All right.
No, miss.
During which year was there the greatest production of bananas? So we go into the bar graph. Which year had the tallest bar?
2011.
2011. So the answer here, 2011. And I want you, in your own words, answer this question. How is this information shown on the bar graph? Write something. How you know? By looking at this bar graph that 2011 had the greatest production of bananas. Don't tell me as yet. You think about it and determine how you were able to identify that year. All right. Jason, how was this information shown in the bar graph?
Miss, because when I drew the bars, 2011 was the highest, had the highest number.
The
Yeah.
highest bar. It was the highest bar. Does
Yes.
anybody in the class have anything different to what he said? Does anyone want to share
miss.
their answer? All right, so we can write this information was shown on the bar chart as the tallest bar. It is 1 mark, so you'll get 1 mark for that. Any questions so far?
No, miss.
All right. Now, between which two consecutive years was there the greatest change in bananas? So we're going to draw a table. So in our table, we are going to have the consecutive years. So the first consecutive year we have 2010 to 2011. Then we have 2011 to 2012. Then we have 2012 to 2013. Then we have 2013 to 2014, and finally 2014 to 2015. And we have the change. Now, how are we going to get the change? Well, the change is the difference in the values. So it is the higher value, which is 275 minus the lower value. So here I will get 275 minus 150, and that will give me 125. So work out that and draw your table. So the second one, we have 2011 to 2012. So the larger value is 100. Yeah. So we have here we have 100 minus 275, which is negative 175. There was a decline in the production of bananas, right? Then we have 40, which is 2013. 40 minus 100, which is negative 60. Then we have 125 minus 40, which is 85, and 210 minus 125, which is 85. So from here, we can see which year had the greatest production of bananas in consecutive years. So draw the table and take down the values. Is anyone still writing?
I finished.
All right. Andrew, between which two consecutive years was there the greatest change in production of bananas?
2010 to 2011.
Correct. 2010 to 2011. So here I would have scored 1 mark. All right. Now, they ask, how is this information shown in the bar graph? The information is shown by the difference in the heights. So this difference sorry. No. There's some. Let's go to the graph. Hold on. Let's look at the graph. Which height is the greatest between two consecutive bars?
Thank you, Miss Michelle. I feel like if I was British for a second, but anyway. 2011 to 2012. Miss, because
2011 to 2012. So,
I
Andre,
was-
your answer was incorrect. Here's
Okay.
2011,
Miss, if I get my thing wrong.
2012, right? Because this value, we will ignore the negative sign. This value had the greatest change. They ask for the change. The change could be a positive change or it could be a negative change. So the change could mean that the number of production of bananas increase, or it could mean that it decrease, right? And here we see that between 2011 and 2012, there was the greatest change. Hence, that was the 2 years, 2 consecutive years that showed the greatest change in bananas. So it was represented by, and we will write the difference in respective heights. Of 2 consecutive years. And I want you to take note here and write that the change can be positive or negative. That is why we could use the negative value here. It means that there was a decrease in the production of bananas, but it was still the greatest decrease, right?
Let's go back to the answer for 2D, please.
Mm-hmm. Or take this answer now. The difference between the bars is larger than any 2 consecutive years, whichever answer you wish to write. All right, is anyone still writing?
No, miss.
All right. Give one reason why the bar chart is unsuitable for predicting the number of bananas. Now, a bar chart is used for comparison, meaning that it compares 2 things, right? And there is no trend line, meaning that we don't know how the graph is going to go, whether it's going to go up, meaning that there's an increase in production, or go down, meaning that there's a decrease. there is no trend line to show what might happen in future years.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
And we could see as well that the amount of bananas produced fluctuates and
Yes, correct, correct. We can say that. So we can also say that the bar chart cannot be used for predicting the number of bananas because we do not know, there is no pattern or there is a fluctuation, right, in the production over the years. So we can interpret whether the next bar is going to be higher or lower than the value of the 2015 bar, all right?
Miss, by any chance, could I put it does because it does not show us frequency or consistency? Does that still?
Consistency. You will have to elaborate a little further, Malik. Consistency in what? Consistency in whether the production is increasing or decreasing. If you say that, you should be able to get your mark.
Okay, cool.
But you have to include the word increasing or decreasing.
Otherwise, okay, cool.
Yeah, because saying that it's not consistent, I think it's a little bit ambiguous, meaning that consistent in what? You know, it's leaving me to wonder what you're trying to say, right? Now, I went through this question step by step and very slowly. Does anyone have any question?
no, miss.
All right. Now, I had said and I had mentioned at the beginning, right, for those of you all who joined in late, that we are going to take our time in the paper too. And by the 30th of May, we would have finished all the past papers and you all will be ready to write your exams. The multiple choice crash course is starting on Sunday, right? We are starting at 11:30 because the majority of persons have indicated that the start time should be at 11:30. So we start at 11:30 and we go to 1:30. If need be, we can go a little bit further to 1:45 or even 2 o'clock. That doesn't mean that every session is going to be 2.5 hours, right? In addition to that, I will send you worksheets for you all to do beforehand. So when you come, it is to collaborate and for us to go through the questions and for me to offer any additional explanation that you all may need. Our goal and our objective is when you all sit that exam on the 23rd of June, you all pass mathematics, not with a grade 3, but with a grade 1 or a grade 2, right? So let me see how many persons we have this morning. So we have